Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, Cooks by Carrie. If you're new here, I'm Carrie, and for today's Foodie Friday video, I'm sharing how to make this delicious, moist, rainbow sprinkle cake from the New York Times Cooking Magazine. This recipe was super simple. I know that sometimes at the New York Times, their recipes can be more difficult, but this is really easy and beginner friendly, I guarantee you, and it was so delicious. Alrighty, without further ado, let's get into the video. I just rewatched my audio from the first clip, and I'm so sorry. It was a little bit weird at the beginning, but hopefully it's better now. Alrighty, for the ingredients, you are going to need some butter, flour, baking powder, baking soda, fine salt, whole milk, vanilla extract, sugar, an egg and egg whites, and some rainbow sprinkles. That sounds like a lot of ingredients, but you probably have most of them on hand at your house already. And these are the ingredients just for the cake. To start off, we are going to take some additional butter and flour and take a baking sheet. I know my baking sheet, it looks very old and maybe not that nice, but I promise it is clean. So yeah, I'm just taking my butter, and I didn't really know the best way to do this. I didn't know maybe if I should melt the butter or just use the softened butter I had. I don't really know, or maybe I should have had cold butter, but I was like, you know what, that's enough, because you want to put a little butter so that you can stick a piece of parchment paper down. I love to use this parchment paper that is pre-cut, and I think you can find that at most grocery stores. But if you don't have that, just cut a piece of parchment paper the size of the pan. And then on top of that, I am topping some more butter, and then I'm going to go in with some flour and coat all around. The reason you want to do this is because you do not want the cake to stick. I promise you that having the cake stick to the pan like ruins the whole process. I mean, for me at least. I mean, it makes me really upset, because I work so hard on a cake, and then it finally comes out, and it is just not very fun to have all your hard work kind of ruined like that. But if your cake does stick to the pan, don't worry. I mean, it's still going to be delicious. It's still going to taste super good. So yeah, I would just say make sure to grease your pan generously. And yep, you'll see me come in with some flour in a minute, and then I'll just spread that all around. Make sure there's not extra clumps of flour on top. If there are, you want to just gently dump them out into a trash can. Alrighty, so in a small bowl, I'm going to mix together my flour, baking powder, salt, and baking soda. This is all my dry ingredients. And this bowl, some may argue, was a little small, but I was just trying to be, eco-friendly, less dishes, and I just grabbed a whisk and then carefully mixed through. Now, in my stand mixer fitted with a paddle attachment, I'm going to cream together my butter and sugar for about 2 to 3 minutes. I think you could probably do this in a handheld mixer, but you just have to have a lot of arm strength because it would take a little bit. And for this recipe, it is super simple. Most of the work is being done by your mixer, so that's pretty great. I forgot to mention, you're going to want to mix this on medium speed. For me, that was between a 4 and a 6 on my mixer. Also, you're going to notice that you will be done when you are seeing that yellow color change to more of a white, and you've kind of just seen that in this clip here. Now, to that mixture, I'm going ahead and adding my egg and my egg whites. You can obviously just, for the egg whites, just remove the yolk and use that. However, I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to get, there was a carton at my grocery store, like a kind of like a milk carton or a cream carton looking thing that was just egg whites, and I thought that would be the easiest. That's what I did, but feel free to do whatever you feel is best. And also, at the beginning of this clip, I did scrape down the sides of my bowl just because I want to make sure that everything gets combined. I don't want anything to be a different texture than the rest of the batter. I want it to be all the same. Now that I have added in my egg, I am going to go ahead and mix this together at a low speed for about 1 to 2 minutes. I do increase the speed a little bit, but yeah. You will notice that when I'm mixing this, it does not look very good. It looks very chunky and very gross, but you've got to just trust the process. After you mix this, it'll become more of a uniform mixture, and then you'll add in the rest of your ingredients and it'll still turn out like a beautiful cake. So don't worry if your butter egg mixture is looking like mine is here, because it is a little like alarming at first, like, oh my god, what did I do wrong? But no, you're on track. You did everything fine. Now, I forgot to do this at the beginning, but you can really do it whenever, I guess. You want to just combine your vanilla with your milk and just give it a quick stir. I don't really know why they decided to put it in the milk instead of with the egg mix, adding it in when I add the eggs in, but that's what the recipe called for. So now this is the part in the cake steps that I think almost every single recipe, I think actually every single recipe I've ever used does. Basically, it's where you do alternating from adding in the flour and the milk. So some recipes will tell you do a third of the flour, then half of the milk, then a third of the flour, then half the milk, that until it's finished. But this recipe just said do half the flour, all of the milk, and then half the flour. So that's exactly what I did. I don't really know why this is a thing. Maybe if anyone asks me in the comments, I'll look it up. But I just kind of think it's like a standard process, but again, it's kind of a mystery to me why this happens. But anyway, I'm just mixing it, and don't worry if your cake, you're like, why is the batter so thin? Cake batter, not technically, it is usually pretty thin. Cookie dough, it's pretty dense, but cake batter tends to be very, I almost called it wet. I mean, yeah, technically it is wet, but sort of thin is what I meant to say. So you're just going to want to mix it up and then scrape down the sides and make sure every little bit of flour gets in, because who would like to bite into a piece of cake and taste a bit of flour? That would not be a good idea. I mean, I personally wouldn't like that. Now the last step for this batter is to add in the rainbow sprinkles. So I'm just taking them, adding them in, and giving them a good mix. The recipe did say not to use any like pastel or naturally colored sprinkles, just because those will not show up as well in the batter. I also do not recommend using non-perils, I think that's how you say them. They're like the small circle shaped sprinkles, because they bleed in batters. So, I mean, I just use the traditional sprinkles if you can. Also, you'll notice that I did save some sprinkles because I wanted to add them on the top to make sure there'd be, like a nice prettiness on the top. I guess no one's really going to see it, but it's kind of like the idea of it. That was fun. Okay, so now in my sheet pan, I am going to add in all my batter and just make sure that it is all evenly coated everywhere. You can see there's my dad there in the bowl. Anyway, but yeah, so the cake batter is really, really thin. So it's okay. Just be careful when you're spreading it out. Make sure that you're not leaving like a super thin. You just want it to be thin everywhere. If you use a smaller pan, obviously this will be a little bit different. But in the end, it does fluff up, so yeah. You can see my dad there making some funny jokes in the thing. Anyway, so yeah, I just thinly spread it. Now, I also forgot to mention that if you go to this recipe online, it is telling you how to make 2 9-inch cake rounds. However, oh, sorry, not 9-inch, 6-inch. 6-inch cake rounds. Now, I don't have a 6-inch cake round that would be like a big enough thing. Like, I have small 6-inch cake rounds, like very, very thin layers, but I didn't want to do that. And so I just thought, you know what? Maybe you guys at home, you don't have these special pans that a lot of these recipes require. I mean, a 6-inch pan isn't that special, but you know what I mean. So I decided to go with a sheet pan. Now, one time I took this class at Milk Bar, it's like this dessert place, and they make their cakes in sheet pans, and then they just cut out circles from it. So I was like, well, that's kind of genius. I mean, like, because they're able to get 3 layers out of like one sheet pan because they like half it or whatever. This is, I'm not telling you about the class, I'm telling you about this. So I thought, well, I'll make it in the sheet pan, and then anyone could cut out any shapes. You want to make a heart cake? All right, cut it a heart. You want to make a rectangle 2-layer cake? All right, you can do that. You want to make a square, or maybe you can make a four-layer cake? You could do that. You could really do anything with the pan, you know, the sky's the limit. But in the end, I decided just to keep it in the sheet pan just because I thought, well, that's like the easiest thing to do. I mean, like, honestly, it's a cute birthday cake idea or any type of celebration. A sheet cake is always a winner in my books. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I keep doing this in all my videos, but make sure your oven is heated to 325 degrees. Then I am placing my cake in. There it goes. Perfect. It looks so good. I was very excited to see how it would turn out, and yeah. And I'm cooking this for 20 to 25 minutes. It took me, I think, exactly 25. Alrighty guys, before we continue with this video, please subscribe, leave a thumbs up, comment down below what you'd like to see next or anything, and share this video with a friend. Also, don't forget to hit that notification bell so you get notified when I post a new video. I have a goal of 100 subscribers, so you could please help me with that. That would be greatly appreciated. Alrighty, let me show you how this cake turned out. So, it has been about 20-25 minutes, and I'm pulling my cake out of the oven, and I tested it, and it was clean, and it looked beautiful, and I was so happy with it. It was perfect golden brown. Look at those fun sprinkles. It was great. So I left it to rest on the oven for 10 minutes, and then I popped it in my fridge for about 15, and it was completely cooled and ready to decorate. Now for this icing, you are going to need 8 ounces of cream cheese, some unsalted butter. Both those need to be slightly softened. You're going to need some sea salt, 3 cups of confectioner's sugar, that's a lot, some vanilla, and some rainbow sprinkles for decoration. I also do add some heavy cream in, so if you have that on hand, that'd be great, but you don't need to have that. That's just something. Now, to start this recipe off, I'm combining my cream cheese, butter, and salt in my mixer. And I am going to beat this on medium speed, so that's 4 to 6 on my mixer, until light and fluffy. This took me about 2 minutes. And you want to do this before you add the icing sugar because you really want, the icing sugar is really messy, and so if you add it all in at once, then it's just like a big mess, and yeah. There's probably other reasons too, but that's my main reason. So yeah, I have attached this, I don't know what's called, like a plastic shield, I'll call it that. So I added the plastic shield just because I didn't want the butter to go flying everywhere. And then, yeah, just continue to mix this until it's one uniform mixture. And it's light and fluffy, obviously. Alrighty, so now that I got this beautiful butter mixture, I'm going ahead and adding in my powdered sugar. When I add the powdered sugar, I think I do it in 2 settings. I can't exactly remember because, you know, I'm voice recording this. But I just add in half it, then I want to mix, and you have to be really careful because powdered sugar will go everywhere. As you see, I did drop some there, and I didn't even realize because I couldn't even see from where I was standing. But you just want to be extra careful because that would really suck if all you want is this yummy cake and then you're greeted with this big mess you have to clean up. Also, here at the beginning, you see that I accidentally started my mixer without locking it first, and that was bad. So yeah. Basically, I'm just going on a low speed and making sure it's all mixed together. This is a cream cheese icing, so hopefully you like cream cheese icing. I mean, if not, you can obviously just find a different icing recipe if you want to try this cake recipe. But I thought it was actually really good. It was, because, you know, there's still butter in it, so, you know. Well, actually, I think there's butter in all cream cheese icing. Don't quote me on that, though. I don't know. But anyway, so, yep, here I am adding the rest of my powdered sugar in, getting it all in there. And then, you know, just mixing it all up again. And this probably took me a couple minutes. But yeah, I mean, all this mixing, the mixing is really the big part. Like, yes, this video is a little bit longer than my usual videos, but I mean, the recipe is really simple, really easy. If you're looking for a cake, this is a really good one to try out. So, you just saw a second ago that I did go ahead and add some whipping cream. Why did I do this? Well, I and my family is a fan of some lighter icing, like light meaning like more fluffy, almost like less dense, less rich, if that makes any sense. I mean, when it comes to chocolate icing though, actually no, when it comes to all icing, yes. I like lighter frosting, texture-wise. So I just added some cream. It wasn't on the recipe, but I added about maybe a tablespoon or so, maybe 2 tablespoons. So if you have it on hand, you can definitely do that. And I did add it in my vanilla. I forgot to add. So yeah, that made my whole frosting. It tasted delicious, and I was really happy with it. Now, when I was thinking about icing my cake, I thought I was going to use a piping bag. So I have a piping bag with a large tip, and I just want to show you this to fill, how to fill a piping bag. Basically, when you have one person, you can take a glass and you open up the piping bag like that, stick your hand through it just to make sure it's big enough, and then you fill the piping bag all the way up to the top of the glass. You don't want to go over. This will make sure that you are not going to have any icing spill out over the top of the bag, and it also is just a really simple way to do it, like that. Perfect. So even though I didn't end up using it like this, I want to share. Now it is time to ice this beautiful cake. I decided to do it just in this pan. I mean, it was just my family eating it, and also, like, what's wrong with the pan? I mean, really nothing. If you're going to an event, I mean, we are still in COVID times, but if you are going to something like an outdoor event or something, people can just take a slice from the pan. You know, it's pretty helpful. So anyway, I start to go in with my piping bag, but I realized I was going to have to fill the piping bag over and over again. It was just not going to be worth it. So I instead decided to grab an offset spatula. That is what these types of spatulas are called. Basically, I don't really know why it's called an offset spatula, but that's what it is called. And so I just added my icing and spread it all around. Now remember, this does not have to be perfect because we are going to be adding sprinkles to the top of the cake. So don't worry if it doesn't look great. Also, if you do not have an offset spatula, feel free to just use a knife or, you can even use a spatula, anything really, that has a flat surface. And I don't like a lot of icing on my cake. Well, I think, again, this is dependent on what type of cake it is. But for this cake, I didn't want a ton of icing. So I'm spreading a very thin layer. Because I spread a very thin layer, I had some extra icing. So I would say that you could probably do 2/3 of this icing recipe. Because I think I used a little over half of it, but I definitely had icing left. So that's what I would recommend. But anyway, I just make sure that every little area gets a thin layer of icing. And last but not least here, I just add in all my sprinkles. I'm just coating it to however much I want or however much you want. To me, this was, I think, a cup of sprinkles, just about, and I probably used 2/3 cup. Yes, a lot of sprinkles, but I love sprinkles. I mean, they're just fun. They add some texture. They're great. Overall rating this cake, all right, the cake itself, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. Really moist, really good, really packed with flavor. It's just like a very simple, easy cake recipe that will not disappoint. It was pretty fail-proof too. The icing, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. Pretty good, but just above average. So yeah. I would definitely recommend making this cake though. I think it was really easy and just so delicious. Like, it had those crispy golden edges, but moist in the middle, and yeah, you could and also, like, cake recipes, they're pretty, you can really do whatever you want with them. Like, you could make a sheet cake like I did. You could do a star cake, a heart cake, whatever really you want. So I definitely recommend trying this out if you are just getting into baking cakes and you want to try something, or if you like to bake cakes like me, but you're just looking for maybe an easier recipe. And here is the final finished product. Oh, it was so beautiful. It's so cute. It's so versatile. I think I could say that, right? I think that means, like, it can be used for many different things. And so good. Definitely recommend trying it out. Alrighty, guys, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I know this is a longer video, but I do really think it's a good one, and it teaches everyone a lot. So, thank you so much for watching. I already said that, but, thank you so much. Follow me on Instagram at Cooks by Carrie. Do all those things I said in the middle of the video. Like, comment, subscribe, turn that notification bell on, and I'll see you on Monday for a new video. Bye, guys.